The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the host and their guests, and not those of W4CS Radio, its employees, or affiliates. W4CS makes no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening to the Cancer Support Network on W4CS.com.
Hi, welcome everyone. It's Arthi with another episode of Light Up Your Life. And today I'm really excited to have a wonderful speaker, presenter, healer, specialist, Rachna, all the way from India. And Rachna is actually a holistic cancer specialist, as well as a holistic nutritionist, as well as a speaker and an author, and many other hats that she wears. Rachna actually is the founder of Rachna Restores, which is an organization that is designed to use holistic healing, especially in the form of nutritional healing, to help patients not only in India, but across the world. She is acclaimed in 26 different international countries and is called upon as an expert in very many settings. Rachna is also an author who has written books about cancer healing and has also recently written a book called Alive, which just came in my inbox yesterday, and really looking at the post-COVID world of building immunity as a ways of living disease-free. As many of you know, I have a big focus and passion for living in a really positive light, and Rachna, of course, does that work. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation with her about what our topic today, the title is called Restore You, Disease-Free Living. And Rachna also has experience because she had a chronic illness as well, which has led her to really understand what autoimmune disease looks like and how you can actually heal from it and what it means to have a beautiful life ahead by restoring your health. Rachna, with no further ado, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for this long introduction, and I'm happy to be here. It took some time for us to finally get connected and do this, but so glad to be here. If I can be of help to people in changing their lifestyles and get healthier, why not?
Yes. Thank you so much, Rachna. I know time is precious for everybody, but especially for you when you are doing so many different avenues and work. So let's go ahead and dive in. Rachna, can you share with our audience and with me, how did you, like when we talk about your own health and your own disease and your own chronic illness, can you talk about how that diagnosis happened and how you got to this journey of actually trying to live medication free and all of that good jazz?
Sure. So I was a senior management professional in a large Fortune 50 company, financial services Fortune 50 company. And that's when I was struck with rheumatoid arthritis. I was globetrotting. I was on my way to be top management. I was handling some of the large portfolios, getting in the technology into the country, and it was almost like my entire professional life collapsed. So I was bedridden, I had deformities, and my rheumatologist told me that there is no other way rather than instead of steroids, immunosuppressants, methotrexate. Methotrexate is a chemotherapy drug, and I became bald. I started losing my hair. The deformities did not stop. I still have my deformities in my hands and feet, and I lived like that for some time. Um, my daughter was 8 years old at that time, and she could not hug me. She would be scared to hug me because I was in so much unimaginable pain. And you know, Aarti, you have to remember, we as women, I had a 36-hour labor with my daughter. And that was a cakewalk in comparison to the pain I was feeling with rheumatoid arthritis. And then every time that I tried to research and I tried to find a way and talk to my rheumatologist about it, all he did was snub me and tell me that there is no cure for this disease, and this is the way it's going to be. And if I quit the medications, I'm going to be bedridden and deformed for the rest of my life. I obviously did not want to accept that, and I'm so thankful that I did not want to accept that. So my turning point came when the methotrexate and immunosuppressants stopped working on my pain, and my hands were in so much pain that each of my knuckles were injected. The bone was injected with steroidal injections, and in a span of about 45 minutes there were about 13 injections in the bone given to me without anesthesia. I was screaming. I think I have a high tolerance for pain, but I was really yelling my heart out, and my husband and daughter were at the reception, which is a little away from where we were at the doctor's room, and they could hear my screams. So we reached home and I was in a daze. I'm told that I was conscious. I'm told that I used to get up and go to the bathroom and minimally eat. But I have no recollection for 3 days. I did not remember anything. It was just I was brain fogged. I remember after 3 days having the memory of waking up and just looking at another mass of fallen hair on my pillow and just limping to the living room where both of them were sitting and waiting for me. And I just asked my husband, I said, I want a cup of coffee. And he was like, but you can't have coffee, it's not allowed. I said, I don't care. I need to, freshen up my mind. I don't want to live like this. This is it. And that's when my daughter looked at me and she realized that she mustered up the courage to hug her mother. So she came near me. She did it very gently. We sent someone down. Thankfully, there was a coffee place just below the house. We got coffee. All of us sat. Yes, coffee is not good for pain, and I still have it very sparingly once or twice a week. But at that point in time, I had the coffee and I said, okay, this is it. I am not going to live like this. What is the worst case scenario? That I will have to go back to the drugs. They're not doing me any good anyway. So I took them in the palm of my hand and I flushed them down because I was scared, with the kind of garbage system that India has. I was scared that stray dog is going to eat them accidentally and die. They were so toxic. So that was the turning point of my life. After that, I did a lot of research on. I used to read copiously. The search engine and internet was there, but it was not as good as it is today across the world. So whatever I could research, my what went in favor of me was that I had been a healthy person, and I used to have a health column with Business Today magazine. It's a leading business magazine, and I had interviewed doctors and specialists for a long time. So I had some knowledge of, inflammation and diseases. And I just made a very, very simple connect that I have an autoimmune condition. It means that my immunity, there's a problem with my immunity. And I have inflammation because of which I have pain and my inflammation markers are high. So, what if I go on an anti inflammatory program? Those were the two connects I made, and as I went along over the next few months, the connect started working for me. I did a hit and try. Some anti-inflammatory foods, some anti-inflammatory lifestyles did not work for me. So I eliminated even those. So even within the list of healthy, I was doing an elimination process. Finally, 8 months later, my reports were clinically negative. That's when I said, okay, I'm quitting my job. I'm going to start studying, and I cannot treat people without getting certified. And by then, my daughter was 11, and she was studying for her exams and I was studying for my exams, and she was like, now you know what it feels like to take exam. And I'm like, yeah, I reached here, without taking exams. So that's how it started. This is 13 years ago.
Wow. Rachna, that is an amazing story. I was just thinking about when you were describing your pain and your physical pain in your hands, and how so many of the clients that we see and so many people in the world, how they do suffer in pain. And that is exactly why they do go the pharma around the pharmaceutical route, because the pain is so high that it it's the trigger that kind of provides soothing, right? We're all looking for soothing and healing. So, Rachna, let's go to the pain point. What is one thing that you tell your clients and the people that you work with? How do you, in those moments, try to say to yourself, let's try a different program than our traditional pharmaceuticals?
Okay, so I'd like to just clarify that I'm not against pharmaceuticals or
And neither am
medical.
I. Yes, neither am I.
Yeah,
That's it.
they are wonderful to save our lives. They are
Mhm.
wonderful for emergency management. But I work in the field of holistic nutrition, and I have now treated thousands of autoimmune and cancer patients. And there is there are two categories that I work with. One is the preventive category, and the second is the curative category. Now, in the curative category for holistic nutrition, holistic nutrition has two components: physical nutrition, what you eat, and emotional nutrition, what you think, how you respond to stress. If someone is eating right, but they have a lot of stress, or their response to stress is poor, like mine was, now I can connect back the dots. My response to stress was very, very poor. When I say poor, I used to be oversensitive about, why did someone say something about me? I'm going to prove this point, or being a perfectionist. These things are not good for our health. So, when I talk to my patients, I'm very clear in the first meeting itself, first session itself, that if you tell me that you're going to eat everything and you're not healing, then that's 50% of what you're doing with my healing. The other 50% is your response to stress. And I systematically help them reduce their response to stress with mind body interventions. So, depending on what kind of autoimmune disease it is, or cancer, or other lifestyle conditions like type 2 diabetes, heart blockages, I give them specific kind of pranayamas, which are breathing exercises. Not all pranayamas are good for everybody. And I help them combine that with music therapy, with certain kinds of cell repair meditation. All this has been clinically proven to repair the DNA at the telomere level. So,
Yes.
whatever I do is scientific.
That's awesome, because I also, the more we look at cellular health and that DNA basic genetic level, there is data that is showing. I don't ever have enough time to discuss it on my segments, but it is going to the level of cellular health at that genetic level. And
Yes.
yes, Rachel, that is one reason why I follow you so closely, is because everything that you do is presented in an evidence-based way. It's research proven. And I know that that is a significant, important piece to you, is to make sure that you have supporting data in how you practice and what you provide your clients.
That's true. Yeah.
So, Rachna, can we talk a little bit about just the cancer program? And I know that one of the reasons that I had a strong pull towards you was also because I think we studied in the same institute. But tell me, what got you, um, even though the autoimmune was part of your own condition, what got you interested in adding the cancer, which is a whole nother field, of course. So can you share with the audience about your passion for cancer and cancer prevention as well as prognosis?
So, I started treating cancer patients before I became certified as a cancer coach.
Mhm.
I was using the same protocol as I use for autoimmune conditions for cancer, and cancer patients started coming to me, their families started coming to me. And in order to help them, I made the same connect of immune system and inflammation. and then adapted to that to their reports, age, kind of cancer, because it's different for hormonal cancers and it's different for lifestyle related cancers like stomach cancers. um, my turning point came with my father. So my father had stage 3 metastatic prostate cancer at the age of 75. He's 82 now, doing well. His cancer markers, inflammation levels, everything is in control. And I treated him, and within 45 days, Aarti, all his markers came down. His prostate size, which had enlarged so much, just shrunk back. And I was like, okay, this is my dad. And mom, dad, we were all happy about it. And he did go through a few rounds of radiotherapy, which I was very against. I'm very against radiation. I don't have a problem with people going through chemotherapy, immunotherapy while they are on my treatment, but radiation has more damage and causes secondary cancers between 7 to 12 years of after the treatment has been done. And it damaged his hip bone, it damaged his digestive system, because it burned the entire area. But he was clinically cancer free with my treatment, and he abandoned the radiotherapy in between and never went back to it. Then I said, okay, I'm getting certified as a cancer coach. I approached the Beat Cancer Institute, Susan. Susan is doing this amazing work. Did that. Then I did the cancer metastasis from Johns Hopkins University, and it just kept coming. Then I was getting clinical success with various kinds of cancer, secondary cancer, late stage cancer, cancers given up by doctors, and then the doctors disbelieving of the reports and saying, "Oh my God, you stopped milk and milk products and you're still okay. There is no muscle wasting." So, and I was just like sitting and smiling, because nobody believes anything till data is shown.
That's right.
I sit back and I say, here's the data.
Mhm.
So that was my cancer journey. Then last year, my book on cancer, You Can Beat Cancer, released on World Cancer Day, February 4th, just before the pandemic and lockdown. And all all my patients have read that book. There are 100 plus recipes in that book for cancer patients, for prevention of cancer, helping people understand why we get cancer, how we can prevent cancer, what are the simple lifestyle things that we think are healthy are causing the oxidative stress which can lead to cancer. So it's still a journey. I'm still learning. um, every year I do at least one, if not two, relearning courses,
Mhm.
or something in the area to help me help people more, because I don't want them to suffer like I did.
I I listened to your story, and of course, there's always a personal piece to it. For instance, you talking about your dad, and you have seen what this chronic illness can do in a family, and what it can do to the spirit and the mind and the body. But you also have seen what healing can do,
Yes.
not only in your personal journey, but those that you work with.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And
So,
somewhere I feel, Aarti, that the gratitude that comes from everyone who has lost hope, they've been to the best doctors, they've been to the best specialists, and then they have no hope, and then they come to me, and when they get okay, this is the healing that's keeping me healed.
yeah, yeah, you're right. When you are feeling like there is that hope piece and you're able to instill hope and faith are the two guiding principles, as we well know, that the spiritual sense of like all of this work is really about building that spirit up, and that positive mindset is such a huge piece. Agreed.
That's
Rachna, you use the word oxidative stress, which some people may not have ever been exposed to, but can you break it down for what that means? Because you do a lot of work in what stress does and what chronic stress can do in illness um, and what it means. So, can you share what oxidative stress and that definition means in your
So
words?
every human being, including a small child, has been through oxidative stress. Oxidative stress happens when you stress your mind or body a lot and it causes free radicals. So if you over exercise, you age more, which is because of oxidative stress. We all have been through it. And I have seen so many women struggling specifically who have hormonal issues and are unable to lose weight, and it's so traumatic for them, but they are guided about exercising for 2 hours a day and starving themselves, and they don't lose a gram for a year, and then they come to me, and then I just reduce the oxidative stress, which balances their hormones, and the weight loss process begins, literally. So oxidative stress is when you are in a spiral, physically or mentally. So it's your thoughts are in a toxic spiral,
Mhm.
or your body in a spiral. I need to exercise, I need to do this, I need to get that thing complete. You are not sitting, taking a deep breath, and unhurrying. So hurrying will cause oxidative stress, which is why I said even a small child has been through it. Because the poor child has been taken through, finish your homework, go for the tuition, start doing this, piano classes. Pause, just relax, enjoy the moment. This moment will not come.
Rachel, everything is about present living and spirit and space. And especially in the US right now, I'm sure you know that mindfulness is a big, big word. Meditation is a big, big word coming to this country for the last, especially this post COVID, during COVID and post. And yet India has always been engrossed and ingrained in our text and in the way that we have lived. But can you share also in countries that have been exposed to this, how do you challenge people to stay in that present moment in mindfulness so that we can try to lead these disease preventative lifestyles that is so important to you when you talk to your patients and those you see?
Yeah. So somebody who comes to me, Aarti, is already in a state of surrendering and wanting to do anything to get better.
Mm-hmm.
At that stage, when they are in pain, they are not able to be mindful or meditate. They cannot. I'm also a certified yoga teacher. I can practice internationally anywhere. So that's how I work across all these countries, because I combine yoga with my nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
I help them by calming the fluctuations of the mind, which is the duty or job of yoga when you do it right. Yoga is not about just being like rubber and flexibility, and I'm not like that because I have deformities. So when I did my yoga course, everyone told me, I think you're crazy. You're doing well and you're doing everything. And I know I'm digressing a little, but it's an interesting anecdote because I lost my mother in November last year. But the when I was doing my yoga, she just asked me. She said, "Do you like torturing yourself? You know that you will get pain when you twist it too much, and of the deformed joints and all." And I told her, I said, I just need to do this. And I did it, and I have not regretted it. I think it's made me richer, it's made me unhurry even more, and it's made me give back to people and help them understand how to calm the fluctuations of their mind, which is what yoga teaches us. So when they come to me, the mind body interventions of saying, do this particular kind of breathing exercise with the music that you like, not music for meditation, not religious music, not instrumental music, because that's going to remind people that they are ill. What music gives you joy? Listen to that music, because those moments of joy with the deep breaths is what will repair the DNA. And the first 3 weeks, I don't give any exercise, I don't give any meditation. I just give them the food, I give them some supplementation depending on their reports, and then I give them the breath work with specific music. So you could enjoy, you know, Ed Sheeran, or you could enjoy Beyonce, or you could enjoy Kishore Kumar
Mhm.
or Elvis Presley. It doesn't matter as long as it is soothing with lyrics. Those 3 weeks changes their perspective from I have to do this, I have to do this, to saying these 25 minutes of my day, nobody disturbed me. That's my self nurturing time. So there is a sudden shift that happens because those are their moments of joy where they're listening to that music which connects them to their college friends or some kind of memory. And then I start the meditation. And that's how, through experiencing all this, can you say, I will be mindful. I will do tasks sequentially and not do multitasking. You can't tell someone to be mindful and they will listen to you. They have to experience this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rachna, I love the fact that we use the word in education. When I was a teacher, we used it a lot. It's called scaffolding. Scaffolding is used now a lot everywhere, and it's basically building blocks. You just have to start at the basic level to get to that, right? So I also, for meditation sessions, I'll often do them, but I don't call them meditation anymore because I'm just like, I just want you to come here to find relaxation, right? We can build up to meditation, but how, and you are describing the art of relaxing our mind, body, and spirit when you bring up music. Like your prescription, your RX is talking about finding joy in that moment so that you can do that cellular repair, which is talking about everything happening at that basic level.
Yes,
What a
that's true.
beautiful thing.
Thank you.
And you simplify it, right?
We have to, when I started doing yoga, and I started doing yoga much before I became a certified teacher. I had a wonderful young yoga teacher. The poor boy used to rotate my ankles when they were so stiff, and when I was still on my toxic medication and nothing was moving. And he used to keep telling me, in Hindi, he used to say, Madam, dhyan karo dhyan, which basically means concentrate and, empty your mind.
Mhm.
And I used to be this pacey, senior professional, and I used to be like, I can't sit and do anulom vilom for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Let me do 20 counts, let me do 50 counts. That's what most people do. The moment I started doing my breath work for 25 minutes a day, I was 80% better within 6 months when I was healing myself. But what made my reports clinically negative was when I started doing the breath work 25 minutes day after day. And I did that for 2 months, and that's when my reports were negative.
That's amazing. You know,
So,
Rasha, I it reminds me of one of my best workouts was very recently. I did this meditation, this workshop actually from India, and I can tell you, it was just pranayama, and it was I can tell you, I was sweating afterwards. I could feel the shift in 1 week, those 10 days. I could literally feel my gut health, even though I'm a pretty good healthy eater, but I felt the reset. And that's what we're talking about, reset.
yes,
You know, you
yes,
talk a lot about how do we find a way. And you're talking about all of your examples are within a year, less than a year, 6 months, 8 months.
yes. So it's instant gratification. Which medication will give you that kind of result? They will not. So that's why when you brought up the thing about I'm simplifying meditation or I'm simplifying breath work, is because when I used to sit down to meditate, I used to be, and I've got it in one of my books also, I used to be like, okay, is that slide in the presentation okay? Was my talk too deep in that meeting? Did I order the groceries? You can't sit down and meditate unless if you use these tools. And I've been through that. So that's why I want to help people with practical tips.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rachna, thank you again for bringing up the fact that you are a yoga teacher with someone who still has that the debilitating effect of what your chronic illness has done to your body. Because I also, I mean, I teach children and youth, and of course, I just remind them you may be able to do more, but it reminds everyone that it is an individual practice. It is not actually about that physical body, it is about you aligning yourself, you know? And we get so focused, even in this country, getting so focused on how do I meditate? How do I meditate? How do I do yoga? And instead of it being this process and the journey of going inward, we've trying to perfect it. And I don't know if that's happening in India too, where there's a piece that everybody's trying to perfect this but it's an art. It can't be perfected.
It's not. You have to be in alignment with your mind, body, soul. It's actually alignment. It's balance. If you go too deep into saying I am going to only focus on physical alignment, you are imbalanced. If you only go into being emotionally inward, again you are imbalanced. You've got to look after the body that carries your soul. This whole universe is energy. I don't know whether there is a next life, I don't know whether there is a soul, but I know there is an energy. I know that every time I heal someone, I feel the gratitude coming back. I have seen it in my practice. Not everybody who comes to me heals. People who do not heal are manifesting their pain for themselves without realizing it. I desperately try to break that cycle, and I'm successful with some, I'm unsuccessful with some. So we, if I keep saying, if you and I are in a room and we keep saying, if I keep telling you, oh, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, the pain is coming to me. Even if I'm saying I'm pain free, I'm using the word pain. So we have to choose even our words carefully because our body is listening to us and be in alignment with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so many great points. Rach, I want to shift gears a little bit. I know this book, Alive, which I just shared, that I think I've been thinking a lot about as our world is opening up again, even in India, as things are changing now with COVID, that immunity is a huge component that you bring up a lot in your program. And I also want to remind everyone that when I had shared one segment about immunizations, I had shared that it is the component of yes, it is there as a short term. Even Sadhguru in his videos, everybody's been talking about all these spiritual leaders and these even medical physicians can say it is a dose of helping to level things out, but we also need to take responsibility. So so again, this can you share with us when did you start writing this? Was it during COVID, post? I do know it just came out a few months ago, but and then share that journey, and then if you could also share those 4 steps of healing that you think are so crucial to being alive and living a not for longevity. We're living for greatness, whatever time period that we're given.
We're living for the quality of life every day. So everyone thinks about longevity from a perspective of age, but how much uh, joy are you feeling on an everyday basis? That's the benchmark I have used for this book. And I interviewed about 50 plus people across the world to understand healthy people, to understand what are they doing right. And I started writing it in the pandemic. My publisher is not going to like this because I was commissioned this book a long time ago. um, but I started writing it in March last year at the time of the lockdown, and I reached out across the world. So you've seen some of the interviews. I didn't put all the interviews in, from early 20s to early 80s. That was the range that I interviewed people in. And what they do for good health completely defies what we have been drilled in terms of vegetables, or don't eat meat, or don't have alcohol, or exercise an hour every day. And these are people who just have mind over matter.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the common thread that came out in Alive simply was that they are mindful of what they are doing right here, right now, in the moment, and they are living their life in balance. So Lawrence in Paris eats her desserts. She's a French lady. Obviously, she loves her chocolate, right? Um, then Ronnie in Delhi has two whiskeys every night. He's 82 years old and he's healthy. So there are people here in this book who are demonstrating that you don't have to go into extremes of doing this copiously or that copiously. If you are just balanced in your mind, body, and your plate has a little of everything, not too much. Be a frugal eater. That was the common thread, and that is the learning that is there in Alive, to experience joy on an everyday.
That's great. You're reminding the idea of we have gone into mass consumption of everything.
Oh,
And I think you
yes.
do share that in a lot of, even in this book, but the idea of like mass, where, what is obesity? Like what is our chronic illness? Where is it formulating? And it becomes the fact that it's mass consumption of technology, mass consumption of food, mass consumption of thoughts.
Yes. So, excess of anything in the mind and body is going to damage it.
Yeah.
So, if you think too much, if you overcomplicate things, you are going to manifest a disease. If you eat too much, you are going to manifest a disease. If you exercise too much, you are going to manifest a disease. If you hurry too much, you are going to manifest a disease. So you've got to get into a balance about all these things, and how you do them is in the book. So how do you get your balance? You can't, again, like I said earlier about people who can't meditate, you can't tell them meditate and be mindful. Similarly, in this book, I have given simple steps how to first eliminate so that you can heal. So have an elimination diet process where when we go to the root, we go to the foundation. We cannot have anything which is hindering the journey of healing, the immune system, the mind. So, in the first step, if I have to look at the healing as a sequential process, so it's a step ladder. So, in the first step, you eliminate a lot of things that will hinder your journey of healing. In the second step, you add a little more, and then you add some yoga, and there's a yoga schedule in the book which is there. Then, in the third step, it opens up just a little more. And it's like, Aarti, it's like if someone had a broken ankle, how do you heal it? It's not like the bone would not heal on its own. We are made to heal. Our
Yes.
bone will repair. The cast is only there so that the alignment of the bone is right. Our nails grow, our hair grows. It's a straightforward sign that our body is made to heal. So when someone has a broken ankle, they will have steps. Cast first, physiotherapy after 6 weeks, then a little bit of walking, and then finally you incorporate the new normal. Similarly, for anything that you heal in your body or mind, has to have these steps, which is what are listed in Alive.
That's great. You're right. It's all back to what we keep talking about. When you are trying to live this way, you have to simplify.
Yes.
And that I don't. I mean, I don't know about you, Rach. And actually, I wanted to go back to something you said earlier because you had shared with us that you had lost your mom last year, and I think I myself in my own grief cycle have learned about simple living. I think you probably have learned in every step of your journey that it has to be simple to keep it alive, right?
You said it, absolutely. It has to be simple. People complicate it, and they will give copious amounts of explanations for things that don't require explanation. Sometimes life is all about yes, no.
Yes, yes. So let's not get so scientific for the reasons why, you know. sometimes sometimes our why generation, like we keep asking the reasons why, and sometimes like and again, some things have worked in history. Everything that you're talking about has worked in history. A lot of these Plato, all of this stuff about talking about food be thy medicine, I always share in almost every second, every episode that is one of my favorite quotes. And it dates back to prehistoric times of before Christ, right? Like we are talking about, and then you look at our indigenous populations, we had hunters and gatherers.
Yes.
Even though I know that you really nurture plant-based nutrition, I also value it too, but I also am not judging anyone for eating meat. I'm a former meat eater myself. You need to have a balance for our ecosystem of hunters and
I
gatherers.
am, yes. So please understand, Aarti, I am against any fads. I am against keto. I am against vegan
Yeah. Mhm.
because they are not talking about balance. Each one of us has individual needs. What are
Yes.
we brought up with? What are our cells used to?
Mm-hmm.
I was brought up on eggs. I will not leave eggs.
Mm-hmm.
I was brought up on milk. I left milk.
Mm-hmm.
We have to choose what
Yes.
works for us and what doesn't work for us. I've had people, including senior doctors, come to me with chronic fatigue
Mm-hmm.
because they became vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Veganism doesn't work for everyone because your protein is coming from pulses and lentils, which are very acidic.
Mm-hmm.
They can cause bone pain, they can increase uric acid, they can cause bloating. Again, it's all about balance. You want to eat your meat,
Absolutely.
yeah, eat grass fed, eat a small quantity.
Yeah.
Look at the Japanese. What is the original Japanese diet, which is where the disease rate used to be 3%? This is, public health data for us
Mm-hmm.
to have learnings from. Uh, they did not have lentils and pulses, they did not have wheat, they did not have milk and milk products. What did they eat? Oily fish, white rice, eggs, sea vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
green tea, lots of walking.
Yes,
No
you're
rocket
reminding me
science.
of it. You're reminding me of blue zones. The blue zones when they've done all the research in all these countries. What are the threads? And the threads are about joyful living,
Yes.
gratitude, and the fact of also taking in consumption of what is our in our indigenous like agricultural land for us, and looking at seasonal eating, what is nourishing. And I'm glad you brought that up, Rachna, because I can say that vegan diet will work for me, but it's not going to work with somebody else. And that is the number one problem that we are facing, is that we're prescribing, like you said, like lately we're into this every few years, especially in this country, every few years, the fad diet, when that is exactly what is leading to distress. You pack on more pounds and then you have, right? Then you lose hope.
Yes. So a couple of years ago, it was coconut oil. It's saturated fat. You don't need to be a nutrition expert to know that saturated fat is inflammatory. Why would you load yourself up with saturated fat if you have an inflammatory condition? If you don't have it, there's no problem. Have a small quantity. The issue that comes up again is, like you said, every few years there is something, is that people overdo it. You remember, I think in the 80s, you were very young, I guess. I was in school. There was this data around soy causing cancer, 80s and 90s, Soy doesn't cause cancer. Soy it pacifies. Natural soy pacifies the hormones if had in small quantities. Someone read that and overdid the soy. And then they got cancer, they got hormonal cancers. Why? Because they were imbalanced about quantities.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you eat your tofu twice a week, it's fine. But if you eat it 7 days a week, it's a problem. Just
Mhm.
like you rotate your vegetables and you must eat fresh local, you've got to rotate your proteins.
Yes, Rachna, that is such a valid point. A bit, the one thing that is coming out that everybody is realizing, I feel, and I'm sure you're seeing it too, is balanced living. Every conversation I have with professionals, with client, it's turning into balance. And
Your
it's,
immune system,
yes.
your immune system is never going to be healed if you are not balanced. Your body is not balanced with the thoughts. You can eat, there is this saying, and pardon my French, but you can have the best nutrition, do the best yoga and meditation, but if you don't fix the shit between your ears, it's going to work.
I don't think I have heard anyone say it any better. It's so true. So true, right? Like, Rachna, the thing is, you also are a career switcher. Look, you were in the finance world. You worked in a setting that is, I don't mean to say completely different, but it is a different way of shift where you look and you see the amount of chronic stress that exists and push, push, push. And then you're seeing this other side where people are saying, I can't be pushed anymore.
Yes, that's true. Yes. So I see the contrast, and my husband and I joke about it because he's in the corporate sector.
Mhm.
And then when he wears his tie and his suit, and I just look at him and I said, okay, those are the days of slavery, and this is the truth. It's like, so this is a joke between us, and he says, I like to do this. He loves what he does, and
Yes,
it all, like we said about food, the same way, whatever works for
absolutely.
us and stuff like that.
And Rachna, the fact is, a lot of our segments are about passion and passion for every. But again, when you talk about joyful living, I'm sure a lot of work that comes out is people are unhappy with their circumstances, which is then leading. So you really have to go, what you're saying is to that grassroots, figure out how and what at that root base cause of emotional, you were talking about how it's all linked together. You
Yes,
can't just focus on that physical, right? You have to find that balance.
I get inbox messages. You've seen the kind of stuff I post on my social media. I
Mhm.
get messages from people saying that I'm in a toxic relationship, and you talk about walking away from toxicity.
Mhm.
So how do I do that? And I'm like, you can walk away from toxicity without walking, without physically walking, because we always have a choice of how we respond to the stress in our environment without changing that environment. The environment inside is what we need to change. That's how we will manage this. If there is a person who you think is toxic for you, but you cannot leave him or her, then you have to change your response to that person or reduce that response of stress. And the best way to do it is through the same techniques that we spoke about. How do you get to be mindful? You start doing your calming breath work, you divert your attention with music. Suddenly, you'll realize that he or she doesn't irritate you anymore.
Mhm.
So they have lost that power over you. You were handing over the power of your mental and emotional state to someone to mess you up. Take it away.
I'm pausing because every conversation that I have always comes down to mindset. Every single one. I just had Dr. Campbell on a few weeks ago. I've had you are a leading expert in nutrition and wellness and health um and Dr. Sharma from the Reiki Healing Foundation, who also all of these healers, right? These intrinsic healers share that it is about how do we go inward for that mindset, and how does that journey of wellness and healing start to happen? Like,
Yes.
yeah, it's just it all comes together, right? The fabric that is held together is the thread that's shared is the fact that I know it's hard, Rachna. I think we're not underestimating how difficult it is to have thought patterns change but it can be done.
Aarti, I was suicidal when I was on methotrexate.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to give up my life twice.
Mm-hmm.
Once my husband snatched the dose of sleeping pills from my hand,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been there, and I'm sitting here, and I've healed people across the world. So when you go from a dark place like that
Mm-hmm.
and you come out, then the conviction with which you talk or the tools and resources you use to help people is because you understand and empathize. It's not sympathy, you empathize with what they are going through. So I've been there, and that's the reason that I say these things. Till I did not start changing my response to stress, I was not healed. And it's a process, it doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still healing at various levels. I'm still learning, still discovering.
Absolutely. I always say all of us are human. And forgiveness for self is one of the most vital things. And also to know that being human is a gift, but it's also a curse at times. So you do have to understand it comes with a bag of understanding and valuing
Yes.
what.
I just say that if we, each one of us on this planet, can behave like human beings, there would not be any problems.
Mm, yeah,
But
I
we
totally
don't.
agree.
We don't. Greed, ego,
Mhm.
money. So I just step back. A lot of people ask me, you have such amazing clinical data. Why don't you publish this data and then you can get that funding and you can do this? I said, then what will I do? I'll still be here. No, I still want to live an unhurried life. I don't want 10 patients a day.
Mhm.
I have people waiting 3 months, 4 months
Mhm.
to come to heal with me, not because I have 10 patients a day. It's because I live the unhurried life and I will refuse to have a chock-a-block calendar. I want my yoga time. I want my meditation time. Because if I am not good, I cannot transfer that to get the clinical results I do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're talking about back to a big component of self compassion is self care, is really paying attention to what your needs are so that you can. And that is a reminder to everyone who is a healer, which we all are, to pay attention. Rachna, we're almost at our time, but can you please share with us a couple things? Where we can find you. So, social media, of course, all of your links. And then also if you can share parting thoughts for our audience today, what would you like to leave them with, or any thoughts that you may have?
So, to your first question, when I started my journey, I was alone. I could not heal more people. So, I instituted Rachna Restores, and I instituted an internationally accredited holistic nutrition course. And today I have 200 plus healers who are certified with that, and we are creating that little bit of a ripple effect across the world. So you can type Rachna Restores one word on Google, even if you don't remember anything else, and you will find me. The website is rachnarestores.com. The Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook handles are at the rate Rachna Restores. And you can inbox me or you can email me on rachnarestores@gmail.com. So I'm here to help people heal.
That's great. And what would you like to leave our audience with, the last final thoughts?
Cognitively calm your mind, because when your mind is calm, use the techniques that you and I talked about in this interview, do them consistently. The moment you start calming your mind, you will sleep better. The moment you sleep better, 80% of your issues will be resolved. Hypertension, type 2 diabetes, obesity, inflammation, risk of cancer, hormonal issues. All these are related to poor sleep. The moment you sleep for 8 hours, sound sleep, 80% of your issues will vanish. That's the very, very simple method to be healthy and alive.
And alive. Rachna, thank you so much for the gift of your precious time. And I'm so grateful that we were able to have this conversation. And it just reminds me again when you're sitting up halfway across the world, actually across the world, excuse me, and I'm sitting on the other half, that it's all the same. It's all the same. We're one people. One realization of living holistically is about mind, body, spirit alignment. And Rachna made it very simple to us today to stay present, to really love through joy, which is, she brought up music. And I say to you all the time to just feel your music for whatever mood you're in, and always, always be your best, true, authentic self. I think that is the prescription she and I holistically believe in, as do many, many healers in our world. Thank you again for tuning in. Rachna, thank you so much.
Thank you, Aarti, and please continue to spread the message. You're doing a wonderful, dissemination message. I love the fact that you are getting more and more healers. There is no right way or wrong way, or this treatment works or that works. Ultimately, we all have to find our paths of healing, and you're just being a catalyst towards that. So God bless you.
Thank you. Same to you. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week ahead. And if you tune in at a different time, just take joy in the healing journey, which is continued till our last breath. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you.